I want to perhaps explore one that you maybe don't get asked so much about, and that's the unheard. Particularly where you've opened up in terms of clairsentient and really exploring, leaning into kind of the universe or spirituality or guidance. For a lot of people, bringing spirituality to the table it can sometimes be a barrier or a fear. It's like, well, because it is so close to you, once you lean into those beliefs, you feel that you want to hold it like it's a really fragile gift. You don't want it to be shattered or mocked or undermined, or how's that played for you, and also how's it been received? Is it something that you bring through quite strongly in your work?
It's an interesting question. The unheard thing, what first came up, I'll speak to this, is just in human relating, not even so much in marketing and business building and sharing a message, but in inner and interpersonal relating, in particular in relationship. And everything generates from relationship, right? We're beginning a relationship in this conversation. We're having a beautiful beginning of a relationship. People are experiencing me and having a relationship with me at some level, watching this and listening to this. So, and being heard is probably about the top thing for anyone in any relationship, right? It's like, you're not hearing what I'm saying. And then of course, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We're communicating in two different frequencies, two different planets, hugely apart. So, starting in any relationship, but in particular, our love relationships or close relationships, and then we'll talk about the business thing next, but the ability to really feel heard and to be able to witness and experience someone being with us in a way that they're communicating in a way to feel heard will alleviate so much of any of the self-sabotage we have, or any of the discomfort we have, or doubts or fears. But here's what's crazy. And I know this, most of you're saying it's probably mostly women here watching this. I think you'd mentioned that.
Yeah.
You guys are so much better at this. We're idiots. We do our best. Like we need just love and support when we're really trying as men to be good listeners and good communicators. And really, I joke about that, but I want to share this piece that might land the plane a little more. So I did an imago therapy session with somebody. I don't know if you know the imago, brilliant Harville Hendricks work, but we paid, a dear friend of mine paid for a girlfriend and I in the past to do this imago therapy session. And mostly what we were doing was just being so heard and felt and listened to in our communication that any of the problems we had just dissolved. Point being that we didn't even need to discuss the problems. They just needed to be presenced in a way that they were so heard that they just went away. They just dissolved in the moment. So if we can give ourselves that opportunity with others, but ultimately with ourselves, that, how can we allow ourselves to feel so heard and witnessed in our own experience that it can just dissolve in the moment and say, wow, I hear that you're afraid right now, Brad. I hear that you're nervous. How can we really get present to ourselves in that, and ultimately others too, of course.
Yeah. That level of intimacy is something that you can hide away from for many, many, many years. Indeed, in the conversation with yourself, and that's when you find kind of you allow space for all of the other saboteurs, all the other critic voices coming through, because you're not paying attention to the messages that are coming through.
That's right.
You're discounting them, or you're putting them in a box that all of your belief systems say that they should belong in.
Yeah, and you're right. And oftentimes we don't want to admit, like, oh, I'm not afraid, or I'm not anything. It's like we need to love these aspects of ourselves. And when I interviewed Gay Hendricks on my podcast, Gay was the second guest on my podcast. If you know Gay's work, brilliant. Harville and Gay Hendricks, two different people, brilliant work. Conscious Loving is Gay Hendricks, and The Big Leap, which is a favorite book. But one of the things he really reiterates is that aspect of allowing and fully loving those aspects in ourselves that we're afraid to really feel and witness, and they'll dissolve just from the loving. Yeah. Is the doggy back? Is the doggy back?
He's fidgeting. There you go. He's gone. He can't hear. You haven't bored him. He can't hear. But that's really interesting because I don't know if you know Rich Lipton's work at all.
I know Rich. Rich is a member of ATL with me. Yeah, he's in it. Yeah. Well,
he's got a great question and a great exercise you can run through, and it's one that I recommend for anybody to run, especially with men, which is along the lines of, what is it you don't want me to know about you?
Yep. He does that a lot. Yep.
If you can hold someone in that safe enough space that they are prepared for you to be witness to them being witness to their own story, you can all of a sudden just dissolve fear by being there, by being present, by being in that trusting relationship and creating space for someone to trust themselves. Yeah.
He shares some really beautiful, what I don't want you to know about me shares, I think in his group. I forget if it's in his Facebook group, maybe on his profile too, but yeah, Rich is great. Smart guy. Wow. Super high introvert. Like, he's such an introvert. You never know it. Brilliant. Yeah.